We will proceed to public hearing.
Public be heard is Jay Cummings.
Well,
Hi, Kathy. How are you doing?
I have 2 minutes, Jackie.
2 minutes.
1 minute, 58 seconds, 57, 55.
Okay, so I'm here as a tree committee member to support Michael, but I thought since I'm here, I want to get across what I consider a red flag. Jay Weck, I consider this a red flag. And I just want to bring it to your attention so I can plant a seed. And during the, everybody was there at Meet the Candidates. And I'm the one that asked the question regarding, and listen to the question now, it was regarding the cost per student in Ontario going up. And nobody really heard the question, nobody. Because I said the cost per student was $38,495. I wasn't particularly talking about the budget. And the red flag that I want to raise is the enrollment. When you figure cost per student, it is the budget divided by another number, which is the enrollment. Now, just let me give you some numbers and so you can consider the trend. In 2007, the enrollment was 1,873 students. That has drastically been declining over 8 years. It's now 1,343. Therefore, the enrollment has gone down by 28%. If this trend continues, we are dealing with a service that is destined to collapse. So, even though I know you can't deal with the budget, and I'm working with the school on that one, the budget is $51.7 million at 1347. Therefore, if you just do the simple mathematics, cost per student is $38,495. 8 years ago, when there were 1,873 students, the budget was only the budget was 46 million. You do the mathematics there, the cost per student was 25,000. So it went from 25,000 to 38,500 per student. So I just wanted to raise this red flag because, of course you don't own the budget piece, but you do perhaps, you and the county government own the, we need to attract and retain families with children. That's the message. Now, we can do that several ways. And you all know this, but I think we have to get the conversation. How do we increase businesses? How do we increase rentals? How do we increase the affordable housing? How do we increase jobs? I think this is, and it might not be you, it might be the county, but whatever it is, I see a train ready to crash in terms of the budget going up, the enrollment going down. Thank you for your time.
Hey, Jack.
I wish the question had been clearer.
Could have been clearer. I said $38,495 per student. It was in the question. The cost per student was in the question.
You know, 2 years ago when the school came, the superintendent came, and I sat here and did the math. And it wasn't 38, it was a little less, maybe 35.
Last year, you're right, it was, last year it was 30, that was 38, it was about 37,000 last year.
And she didn't understand that. It just didn't compute with her.
Yeah.
And then she says, well, no, some students we spend 200,000. And I said, yeah, but you're average. And she
We are way off the curve. We're on the 98th percentile of the country. Utah is $9,000 a student. New York City is about mid-20s thousand dollars a
This is the
student.
highest in the county.
We are not only in the county, highest in the state, and almost highest in the nation.
Do you know that for a fact that we're...
Absolutely, I can send you all the numbers if you're interested.
The other thing that I do recall them saying maybe 4 years ago, that their studies that led them to believe that they were going to bottom out at around 1,100 students. So
Well, that's going to get worse.
Exactly. They're looking at the trend continuing from
Right.
13.
Now, this does not reflect the quality of work in Ontario. I think it's a great school, by the way. However, you know, they don't control the enrollment. They control the budget, which is totally out of whack. And I think I understand the root cause of why that's happening. But that's not for this conversation. That's for, like the new the acting superintendent.
What I think happens too with districts the size of that what we have is, as the enrollment goes down, we're still paying the same amount of money for the building, for the heat, for the transportation. So many of those costs remain the same unless we start closing schools.
Wait a minute, Kathy, I know the number. 60% happens to be teachers' salaries, teachers' benefits, teachers' pensions, right? We're working what's called the Triborough Amendment, which dictates their raises every single year. I actually wrote a letter to Governor Cuomo to get rid of the Triborough Amendment. But we do have a high transportation bill, which is $4 million. But even if you take the $4 million transportation, which makes Ontario unique because of the size of the area, it still becomes $35,000 a student.
But that cost gets more and more as we get fewer students, because unless we start cutting
Absolutely.
teachers like crazy because
Absolutely. I think we need to do both. We need to increase the enrollment. And so I laid that on your table, but I don't know if you can do it. I mean, how do you increase
Have
enrollment?
babies, everybody loves have babies.
You know,
I would thrill, Dr.
Look around. Yeah, no babies in this room, huh?
you
Nick,
know, over the weekend, the town was flooded with traffic, families, babies. It was flooded, Woodstock, they're coming as tourists without a doubt. The floodgates are open, but we're not retaining them. How do we retain families? How do we say to them, hey, we want to move here? And I know Jeremy brought up last time, Airbnb is diminishing the rentals. And that could be very significant. We need more renters so families could come in. But whatever the root cause, I just wanted to,
Do you happen to know what the enrollment divided by the levy is per student?
the
You're divided by the budget, but what about
without the
levy?
state giving the money, you mean?
Yeah, or are there other sources of income, whatever they are?
I don't know. But it's easy to
I'm
figure
curious to
out.
know, because it's not just the state, but it's also the city of New York, puts a big whopping sum
Right,
of money
that's
because
true.
of it. So I'm curious, because I know that when you factor that in, the Ontario School District is by far the cheapest school district of the three that inhabit this
Yeah.
town. That's one. There is discussion at the state level about consolidating school districts. Now, Sonny, you probably don't remember these days, but when I was a little whippersnapper around here, the kids from here went to Kingston School. This is all part of the Kingston School District.
Right.
So, it once was, it's not impossible to ever happen again.
No, even today, as you know, people on Moray Hill who are on the Woodstock side, they go to Kingston.
Yeah.
that's because they opted not to join Ontario.
I mean, I would
No,
say,
no,
I would say
no.
from,
The district was created by the legislature.
I thought they had a say. I thought the
There was
local
a
communities
vote,
had a
there was a
say.
vote as to whether or not to join the
Yeah.
Ontario School
Yeah.
District. But it didn't affect the entire town. They've already carved the district. What's now the Kingston School District remained that, what's now the Saugerties remained that. They already had the boundaries, and people came out and voted yes or no. And there's, what was Cliff's last name? Cliff, the old Cliff?
Elliot?
Cliff Elliott, and as he said, Harry, their family members who to this day don't talk to each other.
How do
But
we
anyway,
retain the families without more employment?
well, that's what I think, ways, I mean, I just throw out four things, we have to find, again, I don't have the answer, I just wanted to raise the red flag. If both trends, if the trends for the revenue go up and the increase, when I say revenue, the budget increases the way it's been increasing, and the enrollment goes down the way it's been going down, right now, it's a train wreck. Something's going to give. And my house is probably closer to Kingston High School than it is to Ontario, but I pay Ontario taxes. And that bus ride is horrendous. That's an hour bus ride, and they go over the hill. They don't go up 28. Well, thank you for my 2 minutes. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Almost 2 minutes, I have.
And definitely put that cell tower on.
I'm going to do a little one.
That's it.
that's it, that's all our budget. This gentleman looks like he has something to say.
Oh, I wanted to sign up for comment.
Or maybe-
My comment is now.
You're too late.
Bill, you be careful. All right, so
I need your name.
Nicholas Abramson. I live on McDaniel Road, on the upper part of McDaniel Road, up near the monastery. And we drive over the top and into town daily, sometimes 3 or 4 times daily. And what I want to talk about is a real parking problem up on the top of McDaniel and Meads. On the weekends especially, the hikers park on both sides of the road up there. And often there's only one lane that can get through, and that lane often is small. A fire truck could not get through there, or any emergency vehicle. And there are people who are walking on the road, between the cars, all over. It's a dangerous situation. We have called the police department weekly, asking them to please come up, ticket, do whatever, but it's going to be a real problem. Somebody's going to get hurt. I'm bringing this to your attention because I don't quite know what else to do other than to call the police department.
Well, that's something you should do. And of course, they can ticket the car, but the people who are already up and over the mountain are not going to get back there for a few hours to discover.
Right. But they won't do it again, Jim. You know, if you give them a ticket.
It's selling repeaters is the problem.
Well,
But
I don't-
let me get to the good
Yeah.
part of this.
Yeah.
The DEC apparently recently bought another little piece of property adjoining their parking lot up there with the intention of increasing their parking, because that's really what it is. They advertise this place on their website, but they don't bother creating their parking. They are acutely aware. I sent them a letter not a month ago, so I'd be very happy to share a copy of it with you, where I was very vocal about the extreme problem that their trail is causing the area. So they did get back in touch with me. They did say that they had bought an adjoining piece of land. They did say that they were going to come up here and consult with me, our highway superintendent, our chief of police, look at this piece of property and see if it could, be turned into viable parking. You're absolutely right. It's a terrible situation.
Yeah.
But this is only part of the issue. And, oh, I'm sorry, Nick.
Okay, so
It's not your 2 minutes, Jack.
I've already had 2 minutes, but is there something we can do between here and the time that they actually get to do something about a parking lot up there? I mean, if we have a police presence up there,
Well, we saw
somebody
signs.
to-
Are there already signs or were signs there?
oh, no, there are plenty of signs,
Plenty of signs.
and people totally ignore them.
Okay, so I'm part 2B. I'm Helene Meisler. And what I did is I created a flyer and I'm putting it on everybody's windshield. Welcome to the mountain.
Yeah.
We're residents. We know safety up here. You are in an illegal spot. You need to be parked a third of the mile down towards Shady with your tires off the road. And maybe that'll make a difference. I mean, dealing with the police department was frustrating beyond belief.
Well, in the summer, they're frustrated, because it is a very small force.
Well, they need to have one person there, I mean, and really give tickets.
Right.
If they don't give tickets.
And it's not only summer, Jim. It's going to be now at least through October 10th or so with the change of leaves. And it's an accident waiting to happen.
No, you're right. It's not a good situation.
Yeah.
I happen to live on the other side of the dome
Right.
that Nick and Elaine live on. And I was driving home Saturday early afternoon, and I came across a site that I had never in 50 years seen before. There were cars parked all solidly from the top of the mountain down almost to my drive.
Yeah.
Never that many. I started to drive up the hill to Saturday, just to see how bad it was on the other side of the hill. And I had to back up about 100 yards, maybe more, because there was a car coming down that could not get past. And this is on the road where I live. Not that I have any dibs to the road, but this is one example of how bad it is. I continued up. I saw that and over the top, I saw that the KTD parking lot on the other side of the hill was almost full. From about where the old wooden church is, Father John's church, that side of the road was blocked with vehicles going all the way up and down the other side. I don't know how far down because I didn't drive any much further than where the KGP parking lot is, which can hold a lot of vehicles. I called the police and told them that we have a dangerous situation here, and blah, 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 blah. Okay. Sunday, I was on my way home, and the situation was even worse. There were more cars parked all the way down on my side of the road. And again, I just want to say, I don't have any special ownership of the road, but just to indicate where these cars were parked solidly, solid on that side of the road, all the way up past the monastery, and again, from opposite the old wooden church, again, all the way up. There were two vehicles in the state parking lot that were so parked that it was impossible for anybody to get in or out. I called the police again, and this time I waited. And after almost an hour, I was parked in I forget the name of the people that own the property across from the church, but I was blocking the drive, but I sat there waiting. And after almost an hour, one of our officers came up. He could see it, the situation. I also described it to him. And he said to me that he was going to drive up past the monastery and see more definitively what the parking situation and the lack of same was like. Okay. This morning, I stopped at the police department and I asked to see the computer where the officers who have responded to calls make their mark. And I couldn't get to see it, but Sergeant Vander Bogart did come out and tell me that I'm not mentioning the name. The officer who went up on that Sunday issued 21 tickets. 21 tickets. I asked how many were issued on Saturday when the situation was practically the same, without counting every car. And he didn't know. So clearly, in my mind, it's not just a matter of the excess parking for hikers, day hikers or whatever that are intending to climb the mountain. The issue is, does our police department have the wherewithal and the direction to ticket every vehicle that is causing a dangerous problem or not? And if not, let's find out why not. And possibly one of the ways of dealing with it might be to have an additional part-time officer or something like that with a vehicle who needs it, or she, who will go around on the stream, along the stream, where people park and leave SHIT all over the place. And the parking, the dangerous parking and double parking up on top of Meads next to the monastery. And I'm not blaming them or anybody else. But we have a problem which goes beyond, a dangerous problem, which goes beyond what we've heard here so far. And I insist that because safety is a prerequisite of one of the three items that we have pledged to deal with, that we get to work and solve this issue, one way or another.
Jerry, can I say one thing?
Yes.
I go up and back and forth to Tannersville a lot because my car was purchased up there. And anybody that goes up 23, 32, whatever it is, up the back way in Tannersville knows just how bad that can be with the falls, the hikers, and everything else. And I don't know if anybody's noticed, but the ones that are standing there and telling people, no, 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 you can't park, are either the DEP or the DEC. I don't know who's got control over that. So my thought is that if it's a state trail that's causing these people to go up there, they need to be responsible for those people that are parking. So that might be something that might get them motivated to move a little faster with the parking. And the other thing is, if the monastery is having a function and they know that they're going to be overloaded in that parking lot, they have to be responsible to stand out there and tell those people, no parking on the road.
You know, I will say that they're pretty good when they have something.
I know, but I know.
They do have the lot down below.
But somebody else other than, I don't think that the town should be responsible to pay somebody $45,000 to stand there and park and hand out parking tickets when it's not our
Perhaps it's,
problem.
we might want to consider a call to the state police occasionally, to their state agency, it's state property and the state property.
They won't write a ticket, you know that. There's a reason the tickets aren't being written.
Maybe we need to put a little bit more pressure on them to come up. The other thing I would add is that Jeremy and I had a conversation a while back. When I was out in Cape Cod, up in Provincetown, you know, they had a pretty large police force. I think it's mostly part-time, they bring them in for the summer months. But they had police officers, they had traffic crossing guards, and they had parking, not meters, but
Like meter
people, not meter maids, but people writing tickets for parking issues. You know, and it's something that, you know, maybe
We had to let our Vinnie, our traffic guard down the center of town, we had to let him go because financial restraints.
No, that's why I haven't seen.
Actually, it's kind of moved pretty good this week.
But the only thing I would say about the parking is that tickets produce revenue.
Yeah.
People crossing the street doesn't produce revenue.
And I think that we consider raising the price of parking tickets.
I was going to suggest that if we make it really painful for these folks to park illegally, really charge them a fee that will hurt, they'll stop parking there and post what the fee, post the sign of $100 parking
Yeah.
ticket. You won't get a lot of people parking up there.
That's a
They'll
good
think
idea,
twice
too.
about it.
Exactly.
I think the sign is really important. You have to get them before they park.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're gone all day and the safety hazard is there.
Right.
So a sign or, so we own that road?
I'm
So
sorry?
we own that road, right?
We maintain this.
Yeah, so then I would think we're responsible for policing it so that if somebody is illegally parked, then I see that we are the ones to either issue tickets, have somebody stand there, put up the sign, because it's our road, and to do something before the problem happens.
Right. Well, not long ago, we had, the highway department planted some new parking signs, replacing some that were so faded you couldn't read them, and as well as adding several more. But that alone doesn't do any good. I think, skull and bones.
Well, that sign, fines doubled in this area.
Actually, I think it's a good idea for revenue and for safety to possibly
About fine $250 for a
Let me
offense.
ask you something.
To increase the tickets, but also
How
running.
about towing the cars?
Yeah.
No.
That you can't, you'll never be able to do it.
Finish, you finish.
And that takes an outlay versus,
I also wanted to mention that we're having an issue also on Elwood Lane by the doctor's office. And maybe
Yes.
that's another spot, we could put up better signs with stiffer fines, because that's continuing there, and it hasn't been solved, and I found, I go to that office, and every time I walk in, they talk about parking there being an issue with people parking in Elwood Lane, right behind Cumberland Farms and right around it.
I'm curious to know, Jay, why you're opposed to towing.
Pardon?
Why are you opposed to towing?
Well, at first blush, it seems like a very expensive business for the town to get
No,
into.
the tower takes the car and the person pays the tower.
We don't pay.
Doesn't cost less than that.
All right, where does the tower take the car?
So it depends on the tower. We have 2 or 3 towers that work for the town. There's like Norseman, and there's a guy on Route 28, and there's another guy, I can't remember, it's on a rotational basis.
Well, if that's the case, that might work, though.
People would call
I
PD
don't-
and say, my car is still
I
up. He said,
don't
no,
know.
it's sitting out there on Route 28 for $300, you can go get it back.
I don't know if that would be, that may be a partial solution. I'm interested in getting hundreds of cars out of it.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying
That's
is when you have
essentially
signs that
what
say
it is.
towaway zone, that gets people's attention,
Yeah,
number
yeah.
one. And number 2, it's again, the people park and then they go to the top of the mountain. They're not back until the end of the day. So you could put 10 parking tickets on that car.
You haven't eliminated the
You
problem.
haven't eliminated the problem. Because if you have towaway zone,
Well, if we don't have to pay for it,
no, we don't.
and if it's,
No, no.
and if it's efficient enough in terms of getting a lot of cars removed, I would consider
Well,
that.
they would have to ticket it also, ticket it
Yeah,
and
probably
tow
have
it,
to
so
go
we would
ticket
get the
it.
revenue, and then they would have to pay.
Yeah.
You know,
Welcome to Woodstock.
yeah, I was just trying to say, it's like, we do want them to come back. So, there's a limit to how many things we're gonna do to them, because if we end up towing their car, how are they gonna get down the mountain?
Yes.
I'm
New York
gonna-
City,
I'm
how they
starting
get
a
to-
taxi service.
Right, okay, it's taxi service.
I'll
So,
sit up there.
we want to maybe hurt them, but not like really.
Uber
Put
McKenna.
that on the sign, taxi.
Towing
Taxi
zone,
stand.
taxi stand.
You got it, Randy.
No way taxi stand.
we're even having that problem to a minor extent at the bottom of California Quarry Road. It seems that some people who move in here new wherever they come from, they think that even though they have a nice long driveway, that when they have people over, or who knows if it's a Airbnb, they have their people parking all along the road, and it's exactly the same situation at the bottom of California Quarry, where a road that is a mountain road where you need 2 lanes for safety coming down a hill is blocked by cars on both sides. And we've had to call the police several times, and it's lessened somewhat. But for that reason, I'm an advocate of the sign that posts the amount of a fine that it is. So at least people know when they come in, wherever they're coming from, that Woodstock may be a place that celebrates anarchy, but it's not a place of chaos, and it shouldn't continue to be.
Good distinction.
Let's put this on the business agenda for next week.
Let's continue next time.
Well, in the meantime, I'd like to get as much accomplished before our meeting, so share your thoughts with me so that we're not just stumbling through something.
The only thing I would say is, I'm not sure the tow truck can even fit.
I was just gonna
They had to start
say
with the first
that.
car.
They could navigate.
And up and down that hairpin road, that would be quite a feat.
Oh, they're very fast.
Yeah, they're very good.
Yes.
I agree just with I think towing is a bad idea. I think the aggravation factor for the person who's towed is absolutely huge. And from my little speech, if we want to retain families as an objective, we may miss a few if we're towing their cars. It's just sort of too drastic of a,
Yeah, it's too
of a
big.
response.
Only to those above the childbearing age.
Well,
Always.
another option might be to, you know, if we could get some volunteers on the weekends to stand up there for a couple of hours, just to chase people.
Yeah, no,
You're
that gets
there,
Only if you
nasty.
gave me a
Yeah,
ticket.
it would be, but.
That could be a fight.
Yeah.
I guess
I need a person in uniform.
I just wanted to say, I understand there's concern about attracting families and keeping families. This is a safety issue.
Yes.
And someone could get killed up there, and it's going to be on all of our heads if that happens. And that's a serious thing.
And it's on our heads.
Yes,
Because we know about it.
yes.
But I guess my thought is, I agree with those who think the towing might be a little too extreme, but they have to be fined that is well documented on a sign. And even if you say violators will be towed on a sign, I don't know if you want to actually tow and strand people, but a sign that says violators will be towed as well as a hefty fine, well posted, would be a deterrent. So that would be my.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Sounds right to me.
Signs will be up tomorrow.
You get first
To hopefully wrap this up, I think we need to be reasonable.
No, this is too much time, please.
A sign is reasonable, towing is reasonable, but it's limited to, a car that's actually blocking and creating a hazard. But that's something that has to be addressed right away. Heaven forbid there's a fire up there, we're in a drought, so be reasonable. A blanket thing is not going to be good.
Again, if we just put up signs, I mean, we put it in our law, of course, but, putting up, towing zone doesn't necessarily mean that we have to tow, but that sign just might dissuade people from parking.
Exactly.
If this says tow zone, it just might, and then, if we have to go up there and yank a car every now and then, just so that the word gets out. So if the DEC puts on their website, by the way, you better be careful where you park or the town's gonna tow your car. It might do something.
And fine.
Well, they get the fine first because the cop's got to go up there and take it before they're towed. Okay.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Trees.
Am I on?
Trees,
Do you want to sit here?
Yeah, sure, I'll sit, that sounds good. This magically this whole discussion has led right into what I'm here to talk about tonight, which is public safety. And the tree committee has been meeting on a semi-regular basis. We met just a couple of weeks ago. And I'm here tonight to kind of go through with you some of the issues that we want to bring to your attention, being that you are the public safety officers. The first thing, though, about the grant, the New York State grant, which we expected would be offered up this year by New York State. If we were victorious, we would have gotten money to do our inventory. The state, as of today, has not announced the grant for this year. There may not be a grant this year. We may be looking at next year if we're lucky. So we got ourselves, I think, positioned really well to make the application, but they just didn't come through. So
Michael, is it just Woodstock or anywhere?
it's the whole state. It's
The whole state, okay.
Yeah, it's not just us. It's a grant program. They provide funding for towns to do tree inventories, to purchase new trees, education. It's a whole program. The very first thing I wanted to bring up before we get into the slideshow is hazardous trees. And I have here a copy of a memo that we got from the Environmental Commission that states, this was dated 2014, August 21st, 2014, from Jim Hansen, stated that, as you know, the town board resolved to accept the recommendations of the Woodstock Environmental Commission to use a combination of strategies to mitigate the threat to public safety caused by the emerald ash borer's devastation on native ash trees. To wit, removal of the afflicted dying ash trees in the town's ownership, treatment with insecticide of carefully selected ash trees whose continued existence is deemed a high public interest. This has been accomplished. But what I'm here to talk about tonight is the preemptive removal of ash trees located in highly trafficked public places deemed to pose an immediate or near future threat to public safety. You may have noticed if you're traveling around the county roads that the county has contracted with J&J arborists, tree removal, to go up and down the county roads and take out these hazardous ash trees. The danger, of course, is that one of these things is going to fall at some point and hit a car, and it's going to be a disaster. So the county, the story I heard, I don't know if it's entirely true, but it does ring true, is that there were people repeatedly reminding the county of this problem. They came to some realization that because they had in fact been put on notice that they might have a responsibility, and then they went out and they started taking these trees down. Now, I'm only aware that they're doing this in Woodstock. I'm not aware if they're doing this in other parts of the county. That would be something that we'd have to look into. But back to the Environmental Commission, I think the issue before us here tonight, what I'm bringing tonight, is that the town is still, not stepping up to take out these hazardous trees. We have a budget process that's about to begin, and we're here to recommend that the town allot money, either in the highway budget or through some special whatever, to take this on next year, and let's get it done. Just coming up the road here, if you look up, right here by the parking lot, you'll see a maple about half dead, and there's a widowmaker just hanging there about 40 feet in the air. That thing could come down and kill someone. That's just one example. So
The town is looking like Grandpa Woodstock.
well, going back to the earlier discussion about safety, I think that, and I think it's valid. I think it's totally valid. But there are other safety issues in the town, and this is one of them, is the dead trees. And I think that, with your budget drafting coming up, this is the time, now's the year. Maybe there's a piece of equipment you can put off buying until next year, something. I'm not asking for, I don't think we're asking for a big tax increase, but I do think that this is an issue, and the committee would like to know.
Have you inventoried the trees? So
We have
know
not inventoried the trees. That was, we wanted to inventory the trees. We wanted to get that paid for through a grant.
Do you remember?
Yes. And as I said at the beginning, that grant program was not funded this year, so we could not apply. We could not even step up to the plate.
Well, we talked about this before, the highway department was kind of a conduit when they did routine maintenance on any road, they would take care of the trees, which are on that road. But the inventory area was very small.
That was a different thing, yeah. That was not as comprehensive. We got a lot of roads, a lot of town-maintained roads, and maybe one of these ash trees is going to fall on a car parked up by the overlook. I don't know, the top of Beats Mountain, and then what happens? It's a valid issue.
There's a million dead trees all around Mountain View parking lot.
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that as part of the.
Well, let me just comment on what you just spoke about. Last week, I toured with the highway superintendent, about 30 of our 76 miles of town roads. He's very acutely aware of the situation. He is making arrangements not only with the town of Olive that has a bucket, but also the town of Esopus that has a bucket, to see if we can't get more use for a bucket and man from up here and take care of these, when we're, prioritizing, of course, from what he considers the most dangerous to us. As far as the budget is concerned, there is, of course, a so-called, tree and brush line, or whatever it is, in the highway budget. And traditionally, it's not been funded very much, I think, by $10,000 or so. But what we would do, because again, we've got so many men and women working in the highway department, so we would move the focus from one task, perhaps paving, and put more resources into the tree removals. So it's not something where you have to increase our budget, we just have to move something in the budget from one line to another. But Michael is very keenly aware of the danger that this is pointed out.
And
And he's already taken initiative so far as getting us the resources to address it.
And I guess to bring it out tonight in this public meeting is to alert homeowners also to the fact that if the trees are on their property and they are threatening roads, I mean, that's also an issue. And I think that they have a responsibility to do something. I mean, they're really easy to see as they get. And we see them all over when we drive around. And the town's responsibility only goes to a certain point. And I think that should be made clear as well. Beyond that point, it becomes the homeowner's responsibility.
Yeah, one thought that I have, well, a couple things. One thing is easy to tell they're dead now because the leaves are on the other trees. In the winter, it might not be so easy to see that they're dead. But anyway, I know I've had problems at my own property where there have been dead trees. And if you're lucky enough, we'll call it, to have it over a Central Hudson line, Central Hudson, if you call them, will take it down. So that may perhaps help the town as well. I'm not sure how many town trees are over Central Hudson lines, but Central Hudson, I've had to be very responsive at bringing somebody out if a tree is over their line. They might not cut it all the way down, but they'll cut the hardest part, like the part you need the bucket for, they'll get that, and then it's easy, anybody, quote unquote, can take down the trunk once the hard part is done. So that's another thought too. I don't know if Central Hudson, if these trees are over the power lines, but I've had good luck with Central Hudson.
They've come through. I don't know how much of the dead stuff they've taken out, but they've taken a lot out.
Yeah, stuff that endangers their lines.
Yeah, well, they're pretty aggressive, frankly, with that vegetation.
Some live trees too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really discriminate.
So there was that, and then the other piece I wanted to bring up involved the hamlet. And what I did was I took some photos, just so
There's a nice county road.
Yeah, it's a nice county road. Well, this is the road next to my house, and it just happens to be the first one up. But it's, as you can see, littered with lots of tall dead trees that at some point are going to fall over. Which way they're going to fall, it's not really clear. This is the Mountain View parking lot. These are also dead ash. There are lots of them. Some of them, some of the worst of them, you can see, have been cut off. There are some tall stumps, 15 feet up. Here's a truck parked under about 5 or 6 dead trees that may or may not fall in that direction. Now this is town property, I believe. I mean, this is the town's responsibility to maintain. There's a few more dead ones over there. Again, it's a good wind's got to come along or something and push them over, but it does happen. I took this picture just to give you an example. This was behind Lotus, and last year they came through and they took out all the dead ash. So that's what is left. They left everything that was in relatively good shape, and so I think their end of Mountain View parking lot they were responsible with and took care of. This is a large, very close to dead white birch behind the chamber building. I believe this is also on town property. And I'm going to show you a lot of trees just in the hamlet area. And the purpose is to at least get us to start thinking in terms of when these dead ones have to be taken down, can we prepare a plan to replace that tree with something similar or something that will grow to provide shade? It's one thing to take the trees down, as was done here in Rock City Road. Now, these were two full-grown, healthy cottonwoods that were taken down about 5 years ago because a dead branch had fallen from one of the cottonwoods and hit a car that was parked in the little parking area by the tree. The supervisor at the time went in and had these giant live cottonwoods taken down. I'll show you. This is what they look like, because there still is a pair of live cottonwoods on the other side of Rock City Road. So that's what we lost when those trees were taken down. The stumps are still there. There is not a plan as yet to plant something new in that spot. Cottonwoods, unfortunately, they do shed a little bit, and so maybe we don't want to replace them with an actual cottonwood. This is the memorial maple planted in front of the town hall. This was taken, picture was taken last week. It's not going to make it. I think that one of the issues with accepting memorial trees for planting in prominent places in town is at least that first year or even two, they need to be maintained. They need to be properly watered. They need to get a fighting chance to survive. Maybe the town should consider requiring a certain, stipend or some little bit of money that will cover the cost of somebody going out once a week and watering these things, so that we don't have a situation like this. These are more street trees right in the hamlet. As you can see, the leaves are disappearing rapidly. It's my understanding that these trees are owned by private property owners in the town. They are not the town's responsibility. The reason I'm mentioning these trees is, and there are others, is that if these are private property and they are in need of attention, it really falls on the owners of the private property to take the steps necessary to either maintain the tree, preserve it, keep it alive, or take it down and replace it with a new tree. Again, I believe this is on private property, but it's not going to last long, maybe another year, but it's already starting to go. This is Central Hudson. They did a lovely job on this tree. That's a whole other story. This is the green. This is the largest tree on the green. As you can see, it provides a substantial amount of shade, even in the condition that it's in. And on a really hot day, it's the only place you can get shade on the green. I don't believe this tree is going to last much longer. But, an arborist could come in and give the town a consult and say, there's Grandpa Woodstock in the shade. They could say that maybe the tree can be saved. I don't know. Here's another stump. This is on the entrance to the Rock City Road parking lot. I don't know for certain if this is on town property, but if it is, this would be an ideal location to plant a new tree. Go in, take out the stump, pop another tree in there. Here's a famous stump on Main Street. This is a tree.
That's not a stump, that's a killer.
The tree was strangled by that bench that you see. The bench has a metal frame that basically cut into the tree and over time killed it. I guess the question before the town board tonight is, would you support strengthening the tree laws as we are discussing amongst the tree committee? I mean, would you support strengthening the tree law to require when a street tree, a shade tree dies in front of or on private property in this critical hamlet area, should that private entity be required to plant a new tree. And we think they should, but again, we're looking for your support for this.
I'd have to say, there's plenty of shade there.
Yeah, it's a little, if you're very short. Well, that's coming from the sycamore.
Yeah.
That's coming from the sycamore.
I'd like to say that for years, I went into that shop, and the owner was never there. But I warned the owner, I asked the woman that worked there to warn the owner that the tree was being choked to death by the ring of steel around it, and it was highly visible. And eventually, yes, the tree did die, but I simply support toughening up the laws.
But you know, we're talking about two laws, really, if I may just interject. One is replanting, but another, you know, take it down by slowly choking it or a chainsaw. There are laws on the books for that. The thing is, the laws aren't enforced. I mean, I think they're pretty heavy laws. It's actually jail time, and it's their fine. You would agree with this, right, Michael?
Yeah, well, that's in the law. That's in the
It's in the law,
law.
yeah, but it's absolutely not being enforced. And if it was enforced, then you'll see another tree there. So it's not so much making the law, it's also enforcing the law, is my point.
Celebration of anarchy.
This is another view. This is a tree, I believe it's a maple, which is on that entrance to Roxy Road parking lot. This tree is in trouble. It's not going to be around much longer. It's another candidate for replacement with something that's going to be healthy. This is in front of Wham, I think? No, just next door to Wham. This is a critical spot. I mean, as you can see, there are no wires that are going to impair the growth of a shade tree. Yet this tree is
What is that being shaded by?
it's being shaded by, it's a good question. It may be another
Another
large
There's
tree.
a second story to
There's a
this.
second story to that too.
No, because it's
Well, I see
the sunlight
that.
coming,
There's
it's
sunlight.
some tree.
Yeah.
You see sunlight coming through.
There's something on the other side of the Kleiner. I think there's a large tree on the other side of the Kleiner. But, this is a prime candidate for a new, healthy shade tree. Here's another view of that maple. You can see how thin out it is. This is the one right on Rock City Road. There's the birch from a distance. And the thing about the birch, I mean, just so you know, these trees are going to start shedding very quickly. As soon as they die, they're basically a softwood, and they're going to start dropping branches, dead ones. And you've got right underneath, you've got the folks that come in, the vendors are right underneath this tree. So, not to mention the bathrooms are right there, the town bathrooms, and there's a path that actually runs right under the tree that people use. It's a bluestone path. So, if anything, I mean, this tree needs to be removed. I mean, really quick, before somebody gets hurt. There's another side of that maple, as you can see, it's thin. Now this, Jeremy, you asked me the trees that were planted in the cemetery, and I took a good look at them. I believe they are a form of birch, and they are, for the most part, in great shape, except for this one, which has split itself down the middle and is probably not going to live very long in this condition unless it is given some kind of attention. Here are dead trees right next to the town's playground. Obviously not a safe situation. They've taken these maples, the big old dead maples around them, but these other things, I don't know what they are. This is looking south. One of the last maples on the median strip is going. That's not going to be with us much longer. This is one of those birches in the cemetery that was cut down. It didn't make it. It was a memorial tree. It was never replanted. And here's a good-looking birch. In the cemetery, they grow fast. They provide a lot of shade, but I think they need to be watched and taken care of, where you end up with something like this.
Did you get a picture of the tree that's in front of the Christian Science?
No, I did not. Really did not. This is a weeping cherry. It was a memorial tree planted by Steve Knight in the honor of Nancy Haney. It's dead, and I don't know. The question is who maintains these things? Who's responsible for maintaining these things? I don't know the answer to that, but this was a big deal at the time when he planted it. Maybe it's been a dry year. Maybe it needed more water than it got. Maybe something got at it, some sort of insect. I don't know. I guess that's it.
Nice presentation.
It's a slideshow. Okay, so that's only a snapshot of the gamut, which is, that's ground zero, Woodstock, that's where everybody's, coming to shop and everything. And, I guess the point of showing you this is that, it's, the street trees are in trouble. And some of it's town responsibility, I think some of it's private property owner responsibility. I think we were looking for your guidance as a town board. It's one thing to educate, but it's another thing to develop a plan. Would you like us to develop a plan? Would you like to talk amongst yourselves and figure out something? I think we're open to suggestion, but the bottom line is, I think we're reaching a critical stage, and it's going to start to affect the whole ambiance down there.
Well, I think in a situation where the tree is dead, there's not very many options, but we have these sickly trees. I think, we need a diagnosis, and we need what can we do about it? I had one of these trees, I have one of these trees, when we brought in an arborist, we said, well, the problem is that you have too much grass around it, the nutrients in the water can't get down to the roots. So what we'll just come do is we'll just squirt it in the lawn, but you gotta dig up this lawn around the tree so that it can be, get the natural, and I see all these trees are totally surrounded, maybe that's the same problem, but if you're gonna do something about the trees, we really need a plan of action, an inventory of the trees which are sick, what's wrong with them, and what we can do.
Right.
If it's, sometimes the expense may be quite modest, if it's just a matter of not getting the right nutrients. If they have some sort of disease, that might be a different story. But, unless we have that information, you really can't make any decisions about how to maintain the trees.
Well, the question that you asked is one that I would support, but our tree committee going back to work and preparing some of the answers to these demands.
It's easy enough for us to do an inventory on our own in a limited area. I don't think that's an issue. We're not arborists. I can see when a tree's in trouble. I can't tell you why.
Yeah, but if we have 10 trees which are in trouble, we might be able to get an arborist.
Yeah, have somebody come and take a look.
Yeah, so if you give us a plan and say, these are dead, these are in trouble, we can have somebody come in and look at all the ones that are in trouble and make a decision that it fixed or not. Mistake.
But there's one thing I think we can do immediately, because Michael came in here, Michael came in here with the prefix of safety. And I think there were 2 trees that are obviously unsafe. And you have to look at pedestrian flow. And that was that one dead tree by the, behind Yum Yums and then the bird shop, which you've got heavy pedestrian flow, you've got a parking lot, you've got those vendors outside. So that should be done immediately. You don't need an inventory for that one. The second one is the one by the playground, which is dead over the swings. So I think at minimum, if we could leave you with that message, just take care of those 2 trees, I think we'll be moving in the right direction.
This is not a new situation. The town has addressed and removed a number of dead trees or actually not dead trees, but trees that were posing danger to homes on the other side of this property. That was during the previous administration. And boy, those trees came down fast when it was shown that they were dangerous, very fast.
I mean, if there's a public safety issue, you don't have to have a town board meeting, the question is, call the supervisor. Let him know. He's got a chainsaw.
He's got a chainsaw. This truck.
I think I know every tree cutter in town. We've used every one of them, I think.
Oh, good recommendation.
But the other thing too, I mean, the other part of what I was saying is that, you know, we've cut down a few number of trees in the hamlet that have not been replaced, and the stumps are there as a living proof. You know, they left the stumps, and so I think the other thing we would like support is, you know, to come back with you with a plan for replanting, and with some suggestions on species and that sort of thing, so that we can start to liven the town up a little bit, look forward. We know that trees take a long time to grow, but, you know, it's...
Well, your own recommendation is if we do replant trees, we also need a maintenance schedule.
You need, or someone whose job it is within the maintenance department to get a little bit of training on how to take care of trees, and that's part of their routine, whether it's once a week or once a month or whatever it takes. So,
The one on the green, Michael, is not long for this world, but we had agreed to let it go as long as it could to give, I know we planted a couple around it.
I saw
In the different, every one that we've taken down was replaced there.
Yeah.
So we're just, you know, hoping that it'll hold out long enough to let some of those others get a little bigger.
Just don't plant the Norway maple next time.
We don't have one of those.
That's what it is. It's
On the
a-
green?
That's the one that's dying, it's a Norway maple.
Oh, yeah, that one's,
Yeah.
yeah, no. One of the guys from the church, I know, he recommended one,
I have red gloves, didn't
I forget what the name of it is, but they grow pretty quick and they seem pretty hard. We put two in there.
We've been looking at light-resistant elms as a possibility. They do exist. They're called Princeton elms. And, there's also light-resistant chestnut. I don't know if you want to get into chestnut, but because they drop the chestnut.
Yeah, just
But,
rock slide.
And that's just
but they're a beautiful tree. Any questions? I think that's about
I
it.
think we did have money in the budget for the tree removal at the Mountain View parking lot. I'm pretty sure we did, a couple of thousand in there
Yeah, there's a couple thousand in tree on that.
for the Mountain.
We all know how many trees a couple thousand take down. About one.
Yeah, but those are the problems.
Yeah, but those
Well,
ones
it's
are
a-
Yeah.
Droppers.
No.
If Mike were to get a bucket truck, he could, not you, Mike Reynolds.
No, I understand. Well, one
If
other
you want to get one.
I don't do chainsaws anymore. But one thing that I should mention is that apparently the law about how you handle these dead ash has changed. And that, in fact, now you can, within our township, take them and burn them. You don't have to leave them right there on the ground, all of that sort of thing. So, I mean, it's part
After all
of...
the ash trees are dead,
It's coming
we're
years,
moving them.
time of the year when people are thinking about it.
Well,
The county, when they chop, they just leave it right on the ground.
they're on the ground. But anybody, don't quote me, but I believe anybody who needs wood
Can
can
take.
take
Yeah,
it.
I've seen people out there sawing it up and
Yeah,
taking
take
it.
it away.
Wasn't there like a 50-mile radius thing that you could
Yes.
take them?
Oh,
But
it's
that's
a
been expanded also.
What?
That's been expanded
That's-
also in this area
Yeah.
because we're
It's
so
all over.
devastated.
Yeah, so,
So does maintenance need to list the dead trees? I mean, Jeremy, you already know the trees that you want the town to start with right away that are dangerous. So you feel like you already know that, you've got the ball there. And then Michael, you got the balls in your court in terms of inventorying the diseased trees versus the,
Well, we're gonna, we'll figure out how to approach this. One other issue, just so you know, we are going to be working on is a fundraiser so that we can raise some money to contribute towards purchasing new trees. And that's all part of the,
well, would you ever volunteer in your group, do you think, that as far as the maintenance once the tree's planted? Because maybe somebody would volunteer for that.
I don't know the answer to that. I know that Cornell Cooperative is offering a stewardship, one-day stewardship seminar. I plan to go to it. I know there are other members of the committee. Well, Jim has taken it. It's a big responsibility, and if it's something I think that could be worked into the town's normal routine of maintenance. Because we have a maintenance crew, and we have a maintenance budget. So it's just, well, here's something else to maintain. I don't think it's a big deal to maintain, trees within the hamlet, but
Well, some people have an affinity and kind of a love for it, and some people don't. So
Right.
that's why I bring for volunteers. They may, just because of their interest, they may get done differently than somebody who's, checklist this.
the fellow from the DEC, George Propus, who did come and we did walk through the hamlet with the committee and with George, he did point out that he believed there is adequate water supply under the hamlet because the trees are not pushing up the sidewalks like they do in Kingston and really, there's a little push here and there, but it's not anywhere near as bad as what they see in other towns. And so he thinks that these trees are tapping water, either Tannery Brook, or the water table is that high, or something to that effect. But, I noticed the brooks are dry now, and, so that's definitely not helping.
I wonder would it be any benefit to your committee reaching out to the Chamber of Commerce?
Yes.
That was something that, I talked about over with Jeremy too. I think that the chamber would be the perfect umbrella, to have these private property owners within the business district. They could all chip in, hire a arborist to come in and take care of their private trees and advise them and tell them what they need to do. And, by sharing that expense to everyone's benefit, I think it would be a great way to go. Thanks for bringing that up.
my tree, it'll put me out of business.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael.
Is there anyone in the highway department, is it a reasonable, just a suggestion, because I know somebody in the highway department that today is working, that used to do tree work for me. And I was just wondering if we could engage them, just to ask, is anyone available to do tree work in the highway department? Just to keep our costs down, instead of going out.
And again, when Michael goes to Service and Olive for their bucket, so they give him a truck and an operator. Michael has the flagman, and then the truck with our personnel to pick up the limbs and throw them into the truck and ship them, et cetera, et cetera. So, yes. And yes, there's at least 2 or 3, not more, gentlemen in the departments who wield the chainsaw and chop themselves.
The issue isn't that they don't know how to take down trees, the issue is that we have so many trees to take down.
That's it.
Yes,
And
yeah, that was right.
the ash, and now you see the pine trees are starting
Generally,
to
this time of
go.
year, they're getting ready to collect their firewood, right?
I know, the pines are all going, so you get clear up one mess, and
Yeah.
we really have a lot of trees right now that are dead.
Ready?
I had one other short little topic before we got into resolutions. Councilman Mike the other day mentioned a parking lot over on Rock City Road Mountain. And I more times mentioned it, and I drilled about that idea. But one thing I've mentioned to Jay before, and I think it might be worth taking a look at, is, I've spoken to a couple of people over the years who lament the fact there's no long-term parking. I know I have at least 2 clients right now who would love to have a place to leave their car in town during the week so that they can come up on the bus Friday night, hop in the car and drive home. And so I wondered how the board feels about the idea of looking into the possibility of having 10 or 15 or 20 spots over in Mountain View that we would reserve. We could do it on a yearly basis or a monthly basis or some long-term basis.
I actually brought this up not too long ago, and when I was just down in Saugerties, and their public parking off of Partition Street, they have a section for overnight parking, and they're purchasing a ticket, it's revenue. I don't know what you want to charge for it, if you wanted to double or triple the fee for the day or whatever, but they buy a ticket, it hangs from the car, has a date on it, so they can't leave it there for 2 days if they've only paid for one. And yeah, I mean, Mountain View would be perfect for that, and if you want to make money.
Well, that's something that I would consider doing, sure.
We have a lot of
As
people
part
that
the
is.
whole shtick.
I like that better than charging in that parking lot because I've had a lot of resistance from various storekeepers about having something free in town besides my house. But long-term parking spaces, I think that's a great idea.
Well, with the overnight parking, because there is no overnight parking in town of Woodstock, but a lot of people want to be able to park there, leave their car, go to the city, come back the next
Yeah, I
day.
like that idea.
Ask your clients if they think a reasonable fee.
I'll pass the information on to Jason. So
Yeah, the town of Saugerties does it, ask them what they charge.
Just hot to trot on this issue, and that takes me out of it. You can talk to them, and
No, I
You
definitely,
give them the name to your clients?
yeah.
Okay.
I'll definitely be very happy to consider that as part of the total plan. Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Boy, we're gonna make a lot of revenue next year. Parking tickets, overnight
It'll pay for
parking.
the tree repair, replacement.
Maybe we should buy a tow truck too.
Yes, we can reserve part of the lot for towed cars.
I was thinking about that. That would be a good spot to put.
We could tow them all right down there.
We need to tow them, just put them in neutral.
I mean, then we could charge them, to get the car back, right? Yeah, exactly.
We could give them a parking ticket and a parking fee.
Boy, will they be surprised when they see Homer.
Remember, you're all being recorded.
It was all in jest.
And filmed.
Okay, I'd like to offer the following resolution. Be resolved to engage the services of Grenier and Larry as PC Professional Engineers, Kingston, New York. Prepare an RFP for the installation of 460 feet of 6-inch water main running from Elvin Lane to the valve and cap located on the western end of the Rockville project. Such RFP to be completed no later than September 15, 2015. And be it further resolved to authorize the supervisor to make a proper notice and distribution to no less than 3 contractors of said RFP. Be it further resolved, proposals will be submitted to the office of Frankie Early, town clerk, no later than 5 p.m. on or about September 29. And be it resolved to schedule a special meeting of the Woodstock Town Board at 5 p.m. on September 29 at the town offices. The proposals will be unsealed. And be it further resolved, the town reserves the right to reject any and all proposals as the interest of the town of the Woodstock Water District may require. Okay? Be resolved to authorize the supervisor to sign change order for E006 with CDP Electric to the contract sum $264,518.85. Original sum $287,175. Okay? That's it?
Not quite.
It's not it.
I think Laura Ricky is dying to make an announcement about this Thursday.
Well, thank you. Would love to do so. I'm sure everybody remembers the Democratic primary is this Thursday from noon to 9. People should have received a yellow card in the mail to tell them where their normal polling place is. There was some talk about polling at one place for the primary, but we never got a card for that, and I confirmed with the Board of Elections that it's whatever the yellow card said. So do go, and thank you, Jay, and it is for the Woodstock Town Board that people will be voting for in the Democratic primary, and 3 people at this table would love your vote.
And 2 people are happy they're not running.
And where will people be gathered to
To convene, to celebrate or not, is the case may be.
count the,
What do you think? I think that'd be a very nice idea to convene. I would love to convene with whoever would like to convene, so I don't know, is Landau really, I don't call that place.
Who's buying the drinks?
The winner. Or the loser.
So Landau Brewing, I don't know, is that a good place? I haven't called them to see if they're open, but
Oh, they're open.
They're always open, there's always room there.
yeah. Jay, is that acceptable to you?
Oh,
And one Lake Kent, because we're all friends here. So,
Very good.
Cool. Very good? Yes. Good luck, everybody.
Anyone else?
Adjourned?
Move to adjourn?
See?
All in favor?
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.